How we all doing? I'm back once again, and I'm still wearing the only jumper I actually own. Quite sad. Today I'm going to be doing a behind the scenes run through of a recent shoot, last week's creative challenge actually, so it's going to be ideation, set up, the actual shoot which was downstairs in my kitchen, and the final edit, and I guess just the entire process will start at the beginning. Make sure you hang around to the end of the video because I'm going to be announcing the winner of the first ever creative challenge. Get excited for that. Someone's going to be getting themselves a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. Let's get on with it, I guess. So first of all, I'm going to be covering ideation, and for me, when it comes to coming up with ideas for briefs or projects, I don't really like to go with the ideas that I come up with on the spot. I don't really have much faith in them. I tend to like to sleep on things and kind of formulate plans overnight. A lot of my best ideas come when I least expect it, or when I'm not trying to force the creativity. Now, some of you may or may not know that I've been blessed with both ADHD and narcolepsy, which is a sleep disorder. And these are both topics I'll be talking about in a lot more detail over the coming weeks in relation to creativity. For now, it's probably a good thing to know that I get a lot of the inspiration and ideas for my projects from my dreams. So with this in mind, I took a little afternoon nap with the intention of coming up with some good ideas for my 10 to 15 second short for last week's challenge, and it absolutely worked a treat. Slept on it, I built the idea up, and then when I woke up, I wrote all my notes down in here, and I tried to turn them into a short story. So once I got that little short story, I thought, okay, I need to turn this into a short shot list. For me, it's necessary. Some people don't need to do that. It's kind of a complete list of each scene that I want to shoot and just the shots that I need to get to have the end product. That's kind of in my head. It doesn't need to be super in depth, but it does need to have enough detail so that when it comes to actually shooting, it makes sense on set and you can get the job done still from what you've written here. I kind of use mine as a checklist when I'm on set, and I kind of tick through the list, especially for a short thing like this. So now I've got my rough idea, I've turned it into a kind of a short plot, and I've got my rough shot list. Now it's time to get the kit set up and actually get to shooting. So I've got a quick time lapse of my kit set up in the kitchen. So we're going to go through this, and I'm just going to bring up any points that I think might be of interest or helpful for anyone watching. All right, so I'm watching this in time with you guys. So you can see I'm bringing the lights in. I've got 2 lights for this setup. Got some diffusion over the lights, just some tracing paper. I brought in, I pause this here because I'm going quite quick. Brought in a big diffusion sheet. And you won't see that in the video, but I just chucked that over the kitchen window, which is behind the camera, and that's just got a lot of natural light coming through just to soften that up. It doesn't have too much effect, but it's always good just to chuck up some diffusion if you can, because why not? And the 2 lights I've got there are 2 newer, I think 600 LED panels, so you can adjust the brightness and the warmth on those. And they have just got some, again, some tracing paper over them for some extra diffusion. We'll be moving those around, so let's keep playing. Bringing a little light stand here, and I'll pause again. What I've got on this is a little clamp arm, C-clamp arm with 2 little grips on it, and they're usually for me used to either have some diffusion or like a neg on it, like a flag to block out light, or just a light modifier is usually attached to that. Really, really useful. I think I got it on eBay for like, I think I got it on Amazon for like 10, 15 pounds. Got a couple of those, and they're just really, really helpful on shoots. Let's keep going. So you can see I've attached a flag to that, just to block out the light from that room behind. Again, it doesn't have too much effect, but it's just nice to have it there. Yeah, just doing some framing tests. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's everything set up. So I've got my 2 lights set up at the end anyway, if you can see here. Yeah, I moved both of the lights over to the camera for the final setup. I have that flag over to the right, blocking out the light from that room behind, and then the diffusion behind the camera blocking, or just diffusing the light coming in from behind. All right, so now I've got the lighting and the modifiers set up, and we're ready to shoot. Let's go through the shoot real quick. There probably won't be too much to cover here, but again, I'll just pause and bring up anything I think that might be important. So, yeah, just running through the shot list here. Get my establishing shots done off camera. Running through the shots. Yep, got jumped up on a chair there to get a little bit of a higher angle. Again, it was a really quick shoot, like there wasn't much to it. Just wrapping up the final shots here actually. Although it didn't take that long. And then you can just see me taking the kit out. So yeah, there wasn't really anything important to bring up there, I don't think. I had my lighting modifiers in place. You can see the bright light at the back that I was trying to block out with the flag. And then, yeah, everything was shot in one spot. Took what is, I mean, it's only a 10 to 15 second shot, so all of my shots were kind of on that little counter there. I had one shot off of the camera, which was the establishing shot of someone running into the room. But yeah, that was the shoot done. I guess let's get on to the editing process, which is probably the longest part for me. So let's do that. All right, now we're going to get into the juicy part of the behind the scenes, I guess, the editing process. And I go through quite a set process when I edit videos like this. I mean, you'll see what I'm doing here on the time-lapse screen recording, but let's just start that playing. Obviously, the first thing I do is load all my footage in to my template and save it all. And then I make sure I modify all of my footage to fit in with the frame rate of the timeline. So for this case, it was 25 frames per second. I think a lot of the video was in 50 frames per second, so I just modified that. So that's a run on the same time frame, and then that will probably be sped up again in the timeline to make it run at actual time. So you can see me doing that here. Got the timeline set up, and then the next step for me is to have a selects timeline set up. And for me, that's kind of dragging all the footage in to one timeline, and I can sort of run through it, get rid of anything that's not necessary, any like scuffs or muck-ups or shots that I won't be using at all. And then I run through those again, and I kind of color code them according to shots. So if I have a few takes of one shot, I'll keep all of those takes in, but I'll have them all color coded as one color, so I know that that's all one shot of files from one take or one scene, I guess, if that makes sense. And that just really helps again when I'm coming down to editing and trimming down. I know that I've got a few options for a take, and if I don't like the angle, I might have another angle that I can use for that scene. So yeah, you can see me doing that here, just color coding them. And then, yeah, I think I'm going through, the next step for me is going through the selects. I kept doing that same time, yeah, still in the selects timeline. And I probably should have put this in another timeline. I'm trimming them down. I'm trimming the selects down to the ones I actually want to use. And if there's any like extended, like dead time at either end of the clip, I'm trimming it off as well. So you can see I've taken away one take, and I'm just using the audio of that. Oh yeah, no, I made a new timeline. I knew I'd do that. I made a main edits master here. So this is, I've kept most of my selects in that selects timeline. Before I delete any of them, I'm going to drag them over and duplicate them into the main edit timeline. And then if I delete anything and I need to get it back, or I decide I don't like a shot, I can go back to the selects and everything I've shot is still there. But with the main edits, I'll just be going through, trimming them all down, going through a first run of edits. I did a little render there just to speed things up a bit. God, my computer's slow. I'm just trimming down all my shots and making my shot selections. It was quite quick here. It wasn't that quick in real life. Yeah, I'm trimming all my shots down to what I want to use, because it is just a 15-second short, remember, so there's a lot of stuff to get rid of. And I've used the in and out selection there. You can see on the screen, I think I've set that at, yeah, just at 15 seconds, so I know my target for trimming the footage down, which is quite useful to know if you've got like a client job and you've only got a minute, or they want a 10-second clip and you've got like 5 minutes of footage. It knows, it's good to know where you need to get the timeline down to. So yeah, just going through the shots there, putting everything in order, again trimming it all down, trying to slowly get it down to 15 seconds. Getting rid of all the dead footage I don't need, running through it a few times, deciding what I can and can't use. And I think I finally just got it under 15 seconds. So anyway, so now I've got my my edit and all the selects made and everything trimmed down. I go through to the next step, which is for me is for color grading. So I tend to color grade in a few steps. My first step is exposing all the shots correctly and matching all the shots up for exposure. So you can see here, I've gone into the Limitry panel, and I've got on the left my scope up, which is my, I don't know. Anyway, this is the one that shows your exposure levels. At the bottom is your absolute black, at the top is your absolute white, and you can see like the graph, that's the exposure of that shot. I feel like I've skipped ahead a bit, so let's bring it back. Yeah, you can see I'm just exposing it correctly here. Put some contrasting, because I did shoot all of this footage in Canon log, which is a low contrast, low saturation LUT, I guess. That's been installed on my 5D. Makes it a lot easier to grade and helps you keep a lot more data and detail in the highs and the lows of the shots. So I'm just adjusting for that here. And what I tend to do as well is I'll grade one shot that I like from the reel, and then I'll match that to all the other shots. So I'll then copy and paste, which you might see in a second, that grade over to all the other shots, and then kind of just tweak them from there. So I'm doing exposure first, and I'll do the temperature, white balance, and then I'll do the saturation and any like other minor adjustments, as you can see here. Just doing a little bit of artistic grading, not too much. It's very simple grade on this. It's not a big project. Yeah, you can see once I've done that, I copy and paste it up to other shots, and I have to go through all the shots and kind of match them up. I also tweak the grade a few times for the final project, but I just go through all the shots, match all the exposures on them after I've pasted that grade over, because it won't be perfect, because some of the shots will have different lighting, remember, so they can't just paste it to all the different shots. Keep going through this. Yeah, I'm having a bit of time grading some of these shots, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and I'm done. What have I done there? Okay, so once I've done the grading, I'll go through and I'll tweak all the audio. Now again, there isn't much audio in this video, but some of the shots, there was some noise in the background. So I've gone through and I've gone over to the audio panel and I've selected the specific shots, and you can make repairs on the audio using some of just the defaults. There's a noise remover, which I used, and a dehummer as well, I think, because there's a hum from the fridge, and they just work really well. Balanced out some of the audio, just to bring the levels up and down and match the levels so nothing was peaking, which is when it's too loud, then it kind of, you can see there's a red bar there, so it's still peaking at the moment, but I do fix that. Yeah, go through audio, just make sure it's all balanced out. Hope you guys are enjoying this as much as me. Go through a few final checks and then I'm happy. And then yeah, that's it. So you can see there's a very set process for me. I mean, I didn't show everything I've done in this screen recording because it's quite a lengthy process, but I've got my color grade done, my audio is kind of finalized. And then once I've done all that, I just do a few minor tweaks before the end and it's ready to export. So now we had a good little run through of my editing process, my shooting, my ideation. Let's have a quick look at the final product. It's crazy to think that so much time and effort goes into just a 15-second little edit. This was, I mean, maybe a day of work here, if not a little bit more. I mean, partly because my laptop's kind of slow, but yeah, a lot goes into just a little 10 to 15 second short. So I do appreciate all of you who have submitted for that competition. All right, guys, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time to announce the winner of last week's Creative Challenge competition. And this submission comes from a young man named Shade, who's a 13-year-old filmmaker from Chicago. Let's run his clip. Now the challenge was to create a 10 to 15 second short narrative without using any dialogue. And honestly, I think that this submission just really nails that brief perfectly. Really, really good job. It's used a nice variety of shots and you can clearly see the kind of story outline. And yeah, I was really, really excited when I saw this one. A really great job. Thanks a lot, Jay. We'll be in touch. Check your emails and we'll get you that free Adobe subscription. Congratulations. Thanks to everyone else who submitted. Obviously I can only pick one winner this week, but this week's challenge is still open to submissions. So make sure you get those in and next week it could be you winning a free Adobe subscription. A big thanks to Adobe and the Adobe Creative Residency Community Fund for helping to make all of this happen. If you guys do want to check that out and maybe apply to it, there'll be a link in the bio below. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already, because there'll be tons of content coming out over the next few weeks. Like a little like on the video and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. If they passing and harass me colder, cause see my passion keeps on passing me, I'm getting older. That's why I rarely let people at my job know I rap, cause that just turned to some circus like I'm an acrobat. And my I think I got a bit of trifle in my moustache.